Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our January town meeting, our first one of 2022. Thank you for joining us this morning. I think we'll probably have a few more stragglers join us. I'd like to, first off, welcome some new residents who have recently joined us since our last meeting. Mrs. Linda Burt in apartment 2108, Mrs. Valerie Hungerford in apartment 320, and Mr. Alan Sparrow in apartment 303. I believe their pictures are up on the bulletin, so you can take a look at those, and hopefully you'll get a chance to meet them. I don't know if we're doing pictures with masks, so it's harder to recognize people with their full face, right? So maybe we need both. I don't know. Okay. I'll ask Maria Lasala, our spiritual care coordinator, to come on up and welcome us.
It's even a little harder when we have hats and scarves. Hi, friends. I'm Maria Lasala, the spiritual care coordinator, and I'm so glad to be with you today as we welcome a new year. You know, there's been a lot of talk about the upcoming Olympic Games, which will begin next week and be held in China. The news is filled with articles about how the Olympic athletes are bending over backwards, literally, to avoid being infected with the coronavirus, and how residents of the towns where the sporting events will be held are being tested regularly. Most grateful and hopeful that the games will go on. On Tuesday, a letter to the editor of the New York Times read, "I chuckled with recognition at the extensive restrictions that Olympic athletes are putting on themselves. That's how we seniors have been living for nearly 2 years. I believe we deserve a medal." I think we'd agree with that sentiment. We are doing a lot to keep ourselves healthy. And I think you all deserve medals, don't you? Yes. Yes. It is because we do recognize our vulnerability, and we want the best for everyone in this community. And that's why we don our masks and assess our choices. We begin this new year with a chance to ask, how are we doing? Are we taking care of our bodies and our spirits? Are we making room in our hearts for the concerns of others? Are we finding ways to enjoy life lived in this community? Even in these COVID times, we do our best to maintain our friendships and to make new friends, sharing meals, playing bridge, enjoying a morning cup of coffee in the bistro, stopping by at the corner store, and attending the concerts and films gives us a sense of community and of joy. Friendship saves lives, you know. And while we might need to put up with a few idiosyncrasies and imperfections occasionally, wisdom reminds us to look beyond those things. Friendship promotes good health and well-being for all. Even as we are grateful for health and wealth and strength, we have had our share of sadness as well, as we have heard news of the death of some of our friends. Today, we remember Barbara Weiss, Shihyu Ma, Estelle Glasser, Rocco Orlando, and just this morning, we learned of the death of Teddy Hurwitz. We are grateful for their lives lived among us. And there are also friends in our community who these days are struggling in mind, body, and spirit. So may we continue to be a community of support to and for one another. I offer you my very best wishes as this new year begins. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. Just a quick reflection on Maria's comments. Just as I walked in here, I was reading a piece of paper and I was reading my phone, emails, and Thomas asked me, "How are you doing?" And I said, good. How are you? And then I went back to reading my phone. It's interesting, this time of year especially, we get really, really busy, especially from an administration perspective, planning the year and so on, wrapping up the previous year. And that question, "How are you doing?" I think it resonates with me in that if we're going to ask it, we should be prepared to slow down and listen for the answer. And so that's something that I think I need to work on quite a bit. And I would just encourage us all to think about that. We get busy, we get wrapped up in ourselves, in our own business. And our business might be caring for others, but we get so wrapped up in it that we express these platitudes and sort of, niceties and greetings, and taking the time in our busyness to slow down, to listen, builds those relationships that keep us going through these difficult times. So thank you, Maria, where'd she go? Oh, thank you for those words. See, I didn't even notice. Terrible. Okay, so every month we, at this town meeting, we reserve a space on the agenda for the Residents' Council. I want to welcome Ms. Susie Weisinger, who is our new president of the Residents' Council. This month we don't have a report. Is that correct, Ms. Weisinger? Okay. And so in the months that you do, you have a space on the agenda should you need it. Okay, thank you. All right, let's go into our reports. Peggy Joyce, our Vice President for Clinical Services, is going to give us an update in her area. I'm guessing she's going to talk about COVID. I could be wrong, but.
One of these days I won't, I promise. But it's still on the forefront, so I like to keep everybody updated. So since the memo that went out on Friday, we have had 3 team members that have been infected, and of course, they're now home quarantining. And we have 2 residents that have developed COVID. The great news, if there is good news about 5 people being infected with COVID, is the numbers are really small compared to what's really happening out in the world outside of Whitney Center. We all know that Omicron is extremely contagious. And if you remember with the memos, I know at one point you had read in your memo we had 20 team members infected. That was within it was really between the Christmas, few days after New Year time frame. So it really did hit us hard when it first started. The good news is it definitely has lightened up. We have gone days with no infections, which is great. So the ones that we are getting are far and few between, but unfortunately we are still seeing an occasional person pop up. But again, we've had 2 years of practice. We're really good at it now. We quarantine people right away. Everybody pretty much knows what to do. So we're going to continue on. Expect to still see people popping up because the numbers in New Haven County are still pretty high. So, I can't stand here and say because you're fully vaccinated and boosted, you're not going to get it. The claim to the vaccination and the booster is if you get it, your symptoms should be mild and will not necessarily result in hospitalization or death like we saw when COVID first started before vaccinations.
Peggy, when you say they got the disease, does that mean they're test positive or they're symptomatic?
They test positive. Yep.
Important differential.
Well, I will tell you, I don't think I've met anybody yet that has had symptoms that has tested negative. Generally, if they come and they're like, I just don't feel myself, I don't feel well, they may not have the exact COVID-like symptoms, but generally you're not feeling 100%. People that generally on a COVID test change to positive have some type of symptom. Mrs. Fishbone?
Hi there. A question, is there any thought of another booster shot? I've heard talks in the area about people 5 months after their first booster shot are now eligible for a second one, which is being given at some of the local stores.
So after your initial 2 vaccine series, or if you got Johnson & Johnson, that 1 shot, it is the booster 5 months later. There is no recommendation that I've seen, read, heard. I'm on the Department of Public Health calls every week. They're not even talking about it. So I think there's too much yet to be determined before they start talking about a 4th shot. Of course, when that becomes where it's something that we would recommend, you'll definitely get the word from me. But as at this point, no one is talking about it that I can hear or see. Dr. Braverman?
Peggy, can you tell us, are you allowed to tell us whether the 2 residents who tested positive, did this come from their being out in the community or visitors coming in? I mean, that...
Yeah, so the first person that turned positive, we definitively know she got it from a visitor that came to visit her. The visitor called the resident and said, I just tested positive.
Oh.
They were together for an extended period of time, and so we went right to that resident's apartment immediately. That's why letting us know about those unusual circumstances is so important. Within an hour of us knowing of that incident, we were able to discover that this resident had already turned positive. So when you're with a visitor, that's why, there's a reason why we're asking you not to dine in large groups. And this is a perfect example because again, she was with her friend. It was a friend of hers. The friend was fine when she was here visiting. She called literally 2 days later, which is the classic time zone for Omicron, called her friend that lives here and said, I just tested positive. I wasn't feeling well. I got a test. That's why we're asking to minimize your contact in large groups to people where you're putting yourself at risk, which is mainly dining. Like all of you in this room, except for me because I'm far enough away, you're all masked. If 2 individuals are masked, it's very low chance that you could actually give each other Omicron if you didn't know you had it. The minute you take that mask off, you increase your chances 100-fold. You're perfect kind of sitting duck. So if that person was with her friend 2 days ago, and the friend calls, just like this incident, and says, by the way, I'm now positive, we do trace back and try to find anyone you might have had contact with to give you a heads up, and then we do ask you to quarantine just to keep the rest of the community safe. So there is scientific reason why we're asking you to not sit in large groups. I still notice the pub. Many of you are sitting at large tables, which is worrisome for me, but you're independent residents, you have the right to make your own choices. But this is why, because if you're sitting with 5, 6, 7, 8 people, I'm going to try to find out who those 7, 8 people are, and then come to you, and we're going to test you to make sure you weren't exposed, to make sure you're not going to then spread it to others. So when you're in areas, especially unmasked, please try to just stay in smaller groups. Again, if you're with each other, that's great, but you got to realize your friends that you're living with here they will have contact with outside people that could catch it from grandchildren, neighbors. You can get it anywhere. Chris?
Peggy, can you clarify, if you do have a visitor, do you want us not to have visitors here?
No.
Are you recommending nobody come, or are you recommending that we visit no one? I mean, what's the limit, in other words? I mean, if we go outside and see 2 relatives or 2 relatives come in, is that all right?
We don't want you to stop visitation. We don't want you to stop going out because we all have to pretty much learn how to deal with COVID. In the beginning, there was so much unknown. That's why we just shut down because we didn't know enough to give you advice as to what to do. My advice is you should continue to live. but know who you're going out with, who you're meeting. You should ask, if you're going out to meet two people, like you said, if I were in your shoes, I'd say, are you both vaccinated and boosted? If they say no, you might want to think about just postponing that until the height of Omicron is over, which I think will be another month or so. But right now, just be careful who you're being with, know who you're inviting in. And one of the other things I was going to speak about today, I'm not sure if you're aware, but now visitors to the health center do have to produce a vaccination card that shows that they're fully vaccinated, including a booster. If they're not, then if they bring a PCR test or an antigen test within 48 hours of an antigen test, 72 hours of a PCR, if they show they've just been tested and they're negative, we can let them in. And then the third option is if they have none of the above, they're unvaccinated or they don't have their card with them, we then offer them a test, a rapid test on the spot. And that has to be negative in order for us to let them in the health center. So that just became effective this past Saturday. And so far, it's been as smooth can be. Thanks to Maria Freda and her team, the receptionists are now stopping anyone if they're going to the health center.
And that means we should bring up hot water.
You don't have to, because we know everyone in this building. Sure. So Chris is asking, for visitors to the health center, they need to show the proof that I just mentioned. If you go to visit a friend in the health center, you do not have to show your card because we know everybody's vaccinated and boosted. We don't know strangers that are coming in. And, we have a lot of sons and daughters that come in to visit mom and dad, and once they show it once, they're verified. We have a very detailed log system. Once they're verified, they only have to show it once. So we're trying to make it as convenient as we can for the visitor, but also keep our residents safe. Any other questions about COVID?
I think just to add too, is that everyone who is showing their cards are still screened.
Oh, yeah, screening never went away. They still have to go through our kiosk system where they have to answer questions, they get their temperature taken. That's for everybody. This is in addition to. That's a good question. So now at least we know everybody that's coming into the health center is safe to visit. The other requirement we put in place is not only do you have to wear your mask in common areas, but we were seeing a lot of visitors once they got into the resident rooms in the health center, they were feeling a little relaxed and they were taking their masks off to visit with mom or dad. And now we're requiring the mask stay on the entire visit. They can't take it off, which, someday it will get better again. But for now, while we're really handling very high numbers in New Haven County, we're trying to put in every measure possible. Any other questions about COVID? Good, I can move on. Yep, that's still on here. The other thing, just kind of to go along with COVID, the governor did sign an executive order on January 6th stating that any long-term care health workers, which that includes a lot of people, it includes every worker here at Whitney Center, vendors, contractors, volunteers, et cetera, they all now are required to get the booster by February 11th. So we've been running vaccine clinics. You might see us in the pub giving out shots the past week or so. But for our staff that did not get the booster yet, the deadline is February 10th because you have to be in compliance by February 11th. And the staff's been very cooperative. Roz?
What about aides from outside agencies who are not vaccinated?
So the mandate covers long-term care workers. So it includes our staff and it includes anyone that does business for Whitney Center. The unfortunate part, if you look at it that way, is the aides work for the resident. So that's really between you and the resident. But I will tell you, the majority of the aides that are coming from private agencies are submitting their vaccine cards to us. But I can't guarantee everybody that comes in from an outside agency is vaccinated. So if you personally want an aide to only take care of you, you should ask that question. And the agencies will tell you. Or when you request help, you could just say, I would like a vaccinated person. And they're very compliant with that.
Hold on, Chris.
So that means that the workers here that are doing the apartment reconstruction renovation are all vaccinated? Because there's a rumor that they're not.
Well, rumors are rumors, Chris. Yeah. Sure.
Chris, thanks for bringing that up. Let me address rumors for a second, and I'll get into this a little later. I've had it up to here with rumors, and I hope you have as well. Please don't perpetuate the rumors. If you have a question, we're around, and we're going to talk about communication later. We can improve it, but please ask. Don't perpetuate it. And you perpetuate it by asking, hey, I heard this, is that true? To someone who has no wherewithal to answer the question. So please, use good judgment. The reality is this, that the vendors, we have 600?
632.
632 vendors in addition to residents and staff that Peggy and her team are tracking for vaccinations. The vast majority are vaccinated. Some have filed and will continue to file exemptions, as is their right to do, per the mandate. If they do that, we cannot say 100% of these folks are vaccinated. They're complying with the mandate. Okay? So just note that that's the actual fact. So if you continue to wear your mask, distance, and do all the things that Peggy is recommending you to do, it matters not what's going on with the vendors, because they're clear that prolonged exposure, even though that's not in the mandate, is an issue that we watch. Okay, it's something we are careful about so that we isolate them regardless of their vaccination status. We're trying to minimize the interaction with the resident population. Okay? Sorry to be so admonishing, but I really, these rumors and speculation have got to stop. We are a community and we try to make ourselves available. Let's talk, ask the question. We don't need to wait for a town meeting or any public forum. Just ask the question. Some of you are good about emailing, phone calls, following up. Let's do more of that. Thanks.
Yeah, I am the keeper of the binders. So if you need to know anything, I can certainly share. But yeah, currently, there's 632 vendors, which includes everything from the visiting nurse to the painter. It includes everybody because they work on our campus. It's a pretty broad mandate. Couple other things is masking. So I've been getting a lot of emails from many of you asking about masks. So I think everybody knows how to properly wear it by now, but I will demonstrate again. On the top of these surgical masks, there's a little bar. You can feel the difference in the two. So the bar is the nose piece. So you put it over your nose and you can hook these around your face, around your ears. I will say if you have a smaller face, then the best way to do it when you put it on is to twist. And these sides are a little bit more closed against your face. So if you put it on, I tend to wear it like this because I don't have a small face. So I do put it like this. But if you want to make this side piece a little tighter on you because of the shape of your face, all you do is take this and twist it, just turn it over once, and then put it right on. It fits any kind of face, even those of us that have larger faces. It does work, and it does tighten up the sides. It has to be over your nose, so what you do is you take your fingers, once you put it on, and you just push down on that little bar just to make it secure so it doesn't, some people have kind of slippery noses, and they tend to fall off. So that's usually what I see a lot, is that if the piece just falls down. But again, if you just push it down, it tends to stay on pretty properly. I will tell you there's a lot of social media that's out there that I see really encouraging people to wear N95s. I'm sure it's a familiar term. It's a different type of mask than these surgical masks. Around Whitney Center, you honestly don't need an N95. The clinical staff only really wear N95s when they're taking care of somebody with COVID. It's a little bit more secure. A lot of the residents are asking for availability to, like having access to N95s. if you are so inclined to want one, the good news is we're going to start offering N95s and these surgical masks as an option in the corner store, thanks to Thomas. Thank you, Thomas, for letting us do that. So they'll just be available there. I am hearing that some residents are wearing their surgical masks for months on end. That shouldn't be. The recommendation is once a week. These are disposable. I heard some residents are actually washing these so that they get longer life. Once you wash them, they're no longer a quality grade that will protect you. So don't wash them. Flip them out at least once a week, or if you get them soiled or dirty, throw them out at that point and just get a new mask. So they'll be available in the corner store for you.
My question was, my question was the length of time these KN95s, and I wasn't going to say days, I was going to say hours, because if you only wear it when you leave your apartment. So I didn't know what time span you're recommending for these masks.
Yeah, I would just change every mask once a week. I think that's a
No
good
matter
rule of
how
thumb.
often,
No matter,
okay.
yeah. I mean, some people might only go out once a day for their meal and never wear it the rest of the day. They probably could get longer life, but I just think as a general rule, change it out once a week, and then you know it's a fresh mask. Because again, I know you all realize this, but this mask, there's a lot of controversy over whether or not masks work, but my opinion from what I've seen is they work because it catches any of those COVID germs that might come from another person on your mask. So that's why they say you shouldn't really be touching your mask once you've worn it, even one time, because if somebody had COVID and they did actually get their sputum to you, any type of a little spit that goes on here, somebody coughs, sneezes, it's here. So you don't really want to touch the mask as much as you can. You want to keep your hands off of it. And if you touch it a lot, throw it out, get a new one. Lynn?
Peggy, when you throw it away, cut the strings.
Okay. Okay. So Lynn's recommendation was when you do toss them, just, put a little scissor cut into the loop.
I have a quick question. I read somewhere that if you could blow a candle out, if you're next to a candle, and blow through your mask, and you blow through your mask and it doesn't go out, it's sufficient. Is that true?
I've never heard the whole candle thing, but again, these surgical masks are good quality and they should protect you, pretty well. N95s really are, I will be honest, N95s, for those of you that might have the feeling to have to wear them, they're hard to breathe in, especially as you get older. And I'd rather have people wear a mask, a lower quality, even though it's a great quality, these masks. You're better off wearing this and breathe versus an N95 and struggle and then pull it down to catch a few breaths. That it's kind of defeating the purpose. Okay? And then totally unrelated to anything that I've spoken about so far, I did receive notice from the hearing aid specialist, Park City Hearing. Their time at Whitney Center is coming to a close. So I am actively working on finding someone else to come. We want to continue that service. It's been great for many of you that have used Pat. And the person before Pat, he was here for years. I want to call him Henry, but I don't think that was his name. Well, begin with an, anyways. Before Pat was a very fine gentleman. Their business is in Bridgeport, so they drive all the way here to service just Whitney Center. So I really do appreciate the years they've given us, but they're both feeling like it's time to step aside. So I do appreciate the service they've given, especially with hearing aids and batteries and hearing tests. So I'm looking for someone local. I have a lead that they're working through the details to see if they can start coming to us regularly.
Well, speaking of hearing aids, do you have any clues about how those of us who have progressed to the more bionic hearing systems that we wear in our ears that flip off every time we take our mask off? Can you give us any guidance about how to take the mask off and not have your hearing aid flying out on the street?
I do, because my husband is very hearing impaired. He actually wears a cochlear implant. He's so hard of hearing. So I did try to figure out how to help him. And Meryl Menon, unfortunately I don't see her here, had a friend that she sells them online. I'm not trying to promote the business, but it's just a plastic bar. Both of the loops fit at the end of the bars, and it just goes right across the back of the head, and you hook it on so you never touch your ears. It works wonderfully. My husband wears it all the time. So there are different apparatuses. Anybody that's interested, I can try to get you the name of the person that is, it's just a piece of plastic, really inexpensive. I don't think I paid more than a couple bucks for it.
Yeah, I may have a lead for you as far as a professional who could come in here. I'll get it to you
Okay.
after.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the olden days, there were surgical masks that tied behind your head. Are they still available?
Yeah, they're hard to get.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what
And that's,
back in the old days, that is what we used. Yeah, they're hard to find. You know, the fact that we can even get masks readily is a good thing, so, but I don't have any that tie.
Hold on.
If you pull it from the top of your ear rather than the bottom, you're less apt to pull the hearing aid off.
Yeah, that's a
Just-
good hint. So Chris is saying when you take your mask off, take it from the top and kind of pull it up around your ear versus the bottom, like, because then the hearing aid does fling out. That's a great hint. I think that's all I have, Mike. Thank you.
Yeah, so speaking of hearing, you notice we're trying to do something, get you the mic, just be patient. The speaker is, got something on their mind, so they may call on you. If you don't have a mic, just be patient. Raf's running around, he's getting his steps in to get you the mic. Yeah, and as far as the mask, I noticed mine start to get fuzzy. That's probably a sign, right? And I have really bad coffee breath that I'm smelling all the time, like it. So I try to switch it out more often. Okay. Thanks, Peg. That was really, really informative and helpful. Mary, are you presenting on Michelle's behalf? Sure. Okay. Oh, we got a support team for Mary. All right. You can do it. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. Michelle asked me to step in for her. She can't be here. She's the Vice President of Enrichment Services and the Thrive at Home team and the Community Resource team. So the Community Resource team is comprised of Maria Lasala, your spiritual care coordinator, Laura Sorensen, who addresses your emotional and mental health needs. Robert and his team addresses your movement and fitness, health, and finally, your liaisons, Wanda, Debbie, and myself, address your questions and navigate you through Whitney Center. A reminder for the new year is often insurance cards, your numbers change. So if you have a new insurance card, please pass it on to us or the business office so we can update that for you. Laura will be having newcomers group starting again, and it starts the first Tuesday of every month. All residents are welcome to come, especially the new ones. It's your chance to meet our residents, other residents, and various departments will be attending to introduce their department's purpose in greater detail. A new caregiver family support group, which will be run by Laura and Karen Russell, is going to be, I lost my space, sorry, is a family support group for those with brain change has formed. And Laura and Karen will be sending out invitations to family members. The pool has reopened. Come by and see the renovated space. It looks great. Pool hours are 6:30 a.m. to 7 p.m., 7 days a week. The pool is open for free swim every day outside the aquatic hours, which are Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday mornings from 9:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. If you have any questions and would like to register for any aquatic classes, please contact Jackie or Robert. The Women in the Bible program offered monthly by Maria LaSalle is now expanding to include women and men of the Bible. January's program took a look at Adam and Eve Cain and Abel. February's program will tell the story of Noah and his sons. Other spiritual care programs continue, so please find the dates and times on your weekly calendar and My WC Life. All are welcome to any of the spiritual programs. And remember, Maria welcomes opportunities to sit and talk and even pray. So Michelle is also in charge of the Thrive at Home, and Thrive at Home membership program designed to provide life care for people who prefer to stay in their own homes and are not ready to move to a campus like Whitney Center, and with the benefit of 24/7 care coordination. Membership in the Thrive at Home is growing, and we're all thrilled. This month, we welcomed 3 new members, Helen Cooper of Woodbridge, Gordon Smith and Joanna Vincent of Hamden. And this week alone, we qualified 3 people and 2 more undergoing qualification today. Our membership is 69 active members and 80 overall. I'm done.
Good job, Mary, thank you. Okay, so I'll turn it over to Ken Sandberg, our Vice President for Lifestyle Services, and he and his team will give their update. Ken?
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, Ken Sandberg here, Vice President of Lifestyle Services. I oversee the dining operations, facilities, and resident services, so I will ask each of those directors to come up and give a brief report, and then I will follow back up with any questions from the audience. So I would first like to start with Thomas Hudson, you're not talking, Thomas, today? No food on the table? Thomas Hudson, our Director of Dining.
So how are we doing? All right, see, got an answer. Good morning, everyone. I'm Thomas Hudson, Director of Dining Services. I would like to talk to you about just a few things. I am crossing off one that Peggy already handled, so that covers that. It's a new year. There's a lot of things we have planned for this year. Unfortunately, I don't have that plan to present to you yet, but on the February report, I will be presenting all our intentions and our developments for the rest of this year, so everyone is aware of what's going on and what's coming up. I have a bit of bad news. As normal, as I've seen over my career, at the changing of a year is when people make decisions about their own lives and changes they want to make. We move house, we move country, we move state. And unfortunately, we've had a couple members of our team who have decided to leave us for new ground. Now, those 2 people are Jody Hodge. Jody has decided to make some changes in her life, and it's an opportune time for her, and she has chosen this time to do so. Jody has been a stalwart in the development of the corner store, but we are going to do our best to make her proud and continue the service and developments that we're doing there. The 2 young ladies there, Octavia and Jordan, are doing a fantastic job in keeping things going, so it's a very smooth transition. All right. The other person who left us was at the end of last year was Carrie, our nutritionist. She has also left the state and will not be with us anymore. So we wish her all the best in her movements. However, while all that has happened, we've also welcomed some new members of our team. We have Loretta, who some of you will see has joined us in the bar. We have Gershon, who you may not see, is one of our utility workers. We have Rayshonda, who is in the bistro, one of our bistro cooks. And we also have a young lady, Ray Naya, who has joined us in the dining room. So as you meet these new people, if you do, please say hello, say welcome, and let's start their journey with us in the right way. Other than that, I have two things to mention. We have just started to offer ice cream in the bistro. I knew that would get a clap. We had to get the right thing. I am now we're gonna look at getting a small ice cream freezer, probably a countertop one that makes it available for you to go and take it for yourself. I wanted to get it going quickly, so it's now in the hands of the servers, so they'll get it for you, but we're gonna change that pretty quickly. And I know people will be enjoying those nice little Haagen-Dazs ice creams after their meal in the bistro, right? We are also, as of next week, we're introducing no sodium offering, both in center stage and in the delivery. Within the no sodium. Within the next week to 2 weeks, we're going to have something in the bistro also. We just need to work that out and how that will work. But as of next week, which starts, our cycle starts on a Sunday, we will have a no sodium meal available for our delivery and in center stage. So for those of us, I've been hearing there are people who really need to cut out their salt intake and so on, where we take that serious and we want you to have an option to choose from. All right? Were there any questions on that? Please sit.
Yeah, I got the mic. My chance to directly address the emperor. This is wonderful.
Oh, yes.
I just really wanted to hold you up as a role model with regard to your memos, the menu memos that you send out every weekend. And you also directly post it to my WC Life. And just in case you residents know, that's available if you have a computer or a tablet PC or even your smartphone to get the most up-to-date calendar stuff and menus. So I'm holding you up as a role model for the other team members, that they have my permission as a resident to post directly to my WC Life also. Thank you.
Well, I thank you for that, sir, but I have to give the credit where the credit is due. And where my WC Life is concerned, I have to give that credit to Janet Fowler and Maria Frieda. They take my content and put it there. So the credit is theirs. The funny things, I don't have to ask them to do it. I just include them on the email and it happens magically. So the credit is theirs. But I thank you for saying that. Was there any other question? Yes, sir.
I just want to say thank you for the popcorn.
Okay. Well, once again, the credit goes to the young ladies in the corner store. I leave that pretty much up to them. They decide when they're doing it, what days, what the flavors will be. I just make the announcement. That's about it. I want to make it very clear that as I always say, the success of any department is based on the work that the team does. All I try to do is strategize and to lead them in certain directions, but the work is really done by the people. And any opportunity you have, any opportunity we have to make them feel your gratitude, I ask you to do so. All right? That's all I have. I will have a rather lengthy report in February, so I will reclaim my time then. All right? Have a good day and take care. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. And because I do not need any introduction, I am Maria Freda, Director of Resident Services, and as always is really happy to spend time with you and to share you latest updates. I would like to begin first by saying how proud I am of my team members. At my right hand and my left hand, of course, are Michelle DeGrand, who is responsible as an associate and supervisor for the department in helping to direct, lead, mentor our receptionists, who are all doing a fabulous job. And heads up to Gil Gallen, who of late has been doing our midnight shift. But I'm happy to say that, fingers crossed, Lawrence Downs will be back next week, so you'll be able to see Gil more regularly. But until that all falls into place, please, any questions you might have regarding security, please direct them to me as well while I fill in for him. But I do want to say that I am so pleased with how happy I am to say that our team, my team, comes in ready each day to be the best that they can be and to do the best for you by providing information, customer service, getting you to the places where you need to go, and be sure to reassure your safety and helpful support when needed. There are times when we need to be especially ready, and snow events are one of those times. Not to take thunder away from COVID, but snow is coming. So, and I know how much snow impacts the community in so many ways. So you should have received Ken's email offering you, that was via email, the time frame and safety rules about moving cars, because when it snows, cars get moved. We know that sometimes like coordinating moving cars is like D-Day at its best, but it only works as well as your cooperation, and reminding you that your cooperation plays a role in its success. And so much of this is a collaborative between departments as well. So we cooperate, security cooperates with facilities, so that the parking areas are not only cleared to allow you to accessibility to your cars, but for also pedestrian safety as well. They kind of work hand in hand. And as you can imagine, it takes time and planning to do so. But as I said, you have a role in this success. Moving cars, as noted in Ken's memo, will begin on Friday at around 1 o'clock. And in doing so, that will also remind you to take real caution when cars are being moved. Please avoid the areas when you see cars moving around. Sometimes with so much going on, it is difficult to see who might be in front of you, who might be behind you. This is one thing that you can take a back seat, literally, in helping us to get the cars in all their proper positions. Your patience also plays a great role in the operations of the success. Moving cars to temporary spots is part of the plan. We know where you live, and we know where your car lives. Sometimes your car is not going to be where you want it to be at that time. It is intentional, so please be patient with us. The priority is that your cars be accessible to you, and the team is doing their very best to make that so. It will get to where it needs to be. And the key access is that accessibility. Update emails will be sent to the community along with announcements on Channel 102 and MyWC Life during these operations. I ask that you refrain from contacting the reception desks as to where your car is. The receptionists are not always going to know where it is. We will update you on it between Gil, myself, and Marvin. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me. I will be here this weekend. I ask also that if you have to have access to your car, to please contact me or Ken or the receptionist as soon as possible. And I'm at 203-848-2616. And we'll assess the need. It is really important that if you know you have a pending medical appointment, though of course tomorrow we will have transportation for those of you who have appointments for medical meetings and you're on the schedule, you are good to go. But after 1 o'clock tomorrow, there will not be any transportation. Due to as I said, yes, once you have it, your reservations will be honored. The space will be open. The space will be open for you to let us know if you have anything coming up that you think is so essential. But please, the team does move the cars, but at times the cars are not moved, and they have been moved because there was a request. So we want to say, please be sincere when you really think you need to have your car out and about. That's really important. For those of you who have appointments in the spa tomorrow, Marge and Lorraine will be in. And for any of you who are desperate for a manicure and pedicure, please check in on the spa on Monday to see when you can make an upcoming appointment with Jennifer. I'm also happy to say that I will be streaming the Yale Philharmonic concert this Friday, providing the Yale Philharmonic concert is on. But come to the CAC on Friday at 7:30, and you'll see a live performance. And I'm happy to do so because I will be sleeping over on Friday night. Yes, absolute kudos to Janet, who is the keeper of my WC Life when it comes to scheduling. I did ask if she had anything to update on my WC Life, and just to say that my WC Life is a living is a living thing. It changes regularly. We do our best, she does her best to keep it as current as it possibly can, but change is inevitable, and sometimes it might not be up to par, or we might not get something in on time. Thank you to all, most recently especially to meetings led by Susie and the committees of the chairs of the different committees who are being very, very deliberate about setting schedules, and we're going to do our best as possible to keep you all informed. Okay, so does anyone have any questions regarding snow, parking, entertainment? We do have a concert scheduled for this Sunday. Marco Spoviak is coming to serenade you on the piano. Hopefully, he will be able to come. But we will keep you posted if anything else comes up.
About snow removal.
Yes.
We were planning to have guests Sunday evening, and I don't know what the protocol is as far as clearing the entrances of snow. If there's any idea of, can you even guess at a time frame if the snow stops Saturday evening and you have Sunday? If I should cancel now, or there's still hope?
So that's a great question. So we're always going to be so just so everybody realizes, we have a nursing home, a healthcare center. So we're always going to be keeping the roadways open. We have to. So there's always going to be access. The question comes down to is the size of the storms, where we put the snow and all that. So everything always depends on whether you would want to have guests here or not. So depends on the track of the storm. Yesterday morning, they were saying we were going to get 1.5 feet of snow. Today, they're saying less so. I would say Sunday evening, later on in the evening, it's probably going to be okay if we have your guests come in here. But I would just see if we're going to have 1.5 feet of snow on Saturday, I wouldn't have guests on Sunday because it's going to take us a while to remove that snow. So, but the roadways will be accessible though. Oh, you want a microphone? Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
Okay. So, Mr. Kent, where do I bring my car tomorrow night when I come home?
So what you do, bring it to the north building, bring it to the front of the north building.
In front of the north building?
Yeah, when you come back, if you're coming back, and then we're going to park it for you.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Anybody else? We're good? Okay. Thank you. Oh, and now I'd love to introduce Emily Aquila. Thank you.
Good morning, community. I hope you're off to a great start this morning. My name is Emily. I am a Director of Facilities. I'm going to piggyback a little bit of what Maria is saying, so great minds think alike. We are now facing a second snowstorm this weekend. This particular storm is going to be a bit more of a force than our last one that we had not so long ago. Maintenance, security, residential services, and the construction team are partnered up and prepared to ensure the safety and access to the community. Maintenance has been very busy and on track with resolving work orders, issues, and ensuring full operation of our heating system. It's been quite cold, so they are doing everything they can and doing a fantastic job in keeping our community warm. Do know that during snowstorms, the team spends most of the time out in the parking lot. So these work orders tend to take a little of a back seat, but rest assured that they are going to be responding really quickly to those work orders. Our number one priority here is safety and accessibility. So our focus here when the storm comes is really outside. So we ask for your patience and your full cooperation. In the last month, we've hired a couple housekeepers, including a supervisor. At our last town meeting, I briefly introduced you to Barbara, who is actually gaining momentum with every aspect of the community. There's a lot to learn here, so I am putting a lot in her brain, and she's catching on. And while we continue to continue her mentorship, as of February 1st, she will become your first and main contact on all housekeeping questions, concerns, or any related information that you need. The main housekeeping phone number that you guys currently use, that is actually her phone line. So there's no change, no brand new number. Tanya's number that she had, that's actually hers. So there's no, don't worry, that number you call, she will be answering. Going forward, we will respond to your emails and your voicemails within 24 hours. I know we haven't been doing the greatest job on that, but as of today, that's exactly what we're about to do. During the weekend, however, responding will take place on Monday unless, of course, we get an emergency. So if we get an emergency from the residents or from the front desk, we will respond accordingly. I have been responding to some phone calls and some emails over the weekend, but that's just me. Only in emergency cases, we're going to be responding to you guys on Monday. Our housekeeping focus for the next 2 months will be filling our vacancies and education, and I only bring that up because I know that's been a hot topic for most of you, because we still have some vacancies that we need to fill, and you guys want your permanent housekeepers. With the help of Lynn from Recruiting, I feel very confident that we're going to achieve this goal within the next month or so. We're just starting out. It's a brand new year, and we are excited to figure out and work with maintenance and housekeeping on how we can actually raise our services. We do a pretty good job. I don't know if you guys have read my expression recently, and I think in the newsletter that came out, I don't know if it goes out to the residents, but we have shared our gratitude on how hard the team works for housekeeping and for maintenance. So I'm excited for what the new year is going to bring. I just ask for your patience and your continuous support. I do appreciate everything you guys have done. Any questions? Good? Thank you, thank you, thank you.
So, as you saw, all the directors gave their report. You had chances to ask them questions about their departments. I'm up here one more time. Is there any specific questions you need to ask me? Yes.
Okay, I got to refer to my notes on this one.
Okay.
For those of you who don't know me, I'm a new resident of only 4 months, but I've been the host of the computer clinic via Zoom for a lot longer than that. No applause, no applause. And at a recent session, we discussed good network etiquette or netiquette regarding email netiquette. Thank you, Emily, for what you said earlier. It's like you preempted, you read my note. The question arose about the importance of replying to emails, and the failure to reply is poor network etiquette. We made that clear. Many attending the clinic express frustration that too many team members consider replying to resident emails in a timely manner as optional. The most common excuse given is that they don't have the time. I must add that many team members are excellent email correspondents, so I don't want to give the impression that this complaint applies to all. It doesn't. We are simply asking management to work with us to educate all team members who correspond with residents that email replies are not optional, but rather they are a time-efficient manner for communicating with residents who may not be as mobile as they are. This goes double to replying to voicemails. Will you work with us to make this happen, please?
Yeah, so thanks, Mr. Cogni. That's a great question. You know, we at the management team, we talk a lot about communication. Emails, there's text, the voice message, there's Teams, there's all these different aspects of how we communicate with each other. And we have about 250, as you know, we have about 250 team members. And we also have now 250 residents. So there's 500 people literally within this community that could communicate with each other. And then we add on families and outside people as well. So it does, to be honest with you, get quite overwhelming for all of us. Some of us get well over 100, 150 emails a day, and understanding the priorities and responding to that is critical. So we don't disagree that we do need to respond timely to emails, but it does go both ways. You know, we have to take a look at, if I have a manager that gets 30 emails every day from residents, you know, the time it takes to constantly be responding to those emails, we have to evaluate that. And you had brought this to my attention a couple of days ago, and I said, that's a good question. And so what Herb and I talked about was we getting together with the resident council leadership, and let's come up with some communication protocols. Maybe some of the emails that the residents are sending to some of our team members could be redirected appropriately. So maybe we can do some good streamlining in the amount of emails that would be actually being sent to our team members. But we do agree that there needs to be really good etiquette. We do need that, but let's take a look at some of the emails and the purpose behind some of those emails, and maybe we can streamline that to make it a little bit more efficient for some of our managers.
Sometimes am I on?
Yeah, put it up to your.
Sometimes it's not that one needs a long response. Sometimes you just want to know the person has received it. And that doesn't require a lot on the part of the receiver. I know that's the way I deal with my grandkids. Just write K, just so I know you've read it. I mean, I don't expect the action to be taken. And I hope that would fit in with Herb's netiquette.
Yeah, that's great. That's Mrs. Fishbone. We'll absolutely, when we get together with the resident council leadership, we'll talk about that. And so part of it is, you know, the information, the willingness to know. You want to know. You have a question. You want to know, and we get that. So we're going to hopefully look to streamline some of this communication as well. And so we can take a look at our systems and we'll take a close look at that. Absolutely. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Ken, thanks, team. Okay, so we're past I try to do these in an hour, but we're going to go a little long today, so I ask for your forbearance as we get through the rest of the agenda. So I don't see Sean O'Connor, our Vice President for Marketing, had to jump on a tour. He had someone come in, and he had to do that. So he was going to give a report. I don't have the numbers that he would have offered, but what I can tell you is that, as you heard from Mary, in terms of Thrive at Home, we're seeing similar activity for the apartments. We're seeing more interest. I welcomed 3 new residents from the last meeting that we had, and we have more in the pipeline. So we're seeing good activity, even in the context of, you know, the Omicron variant of COVID. So we expect our marketing plan to continue down this path, and we expect to see good results from that. What I would say on Sean's behalf is that we need your help in that marketing. So Many of you, this is intuitive, so forgive me, I might be preaching to the choir here, but if you see Dawn or Colleen or Sean touring someone who you don't recognize, please do, and I've seen some of you do it, so it's wonderful. Please stop and say hello, welcome them. It just helps them sort of get to know the community a bit. In the same vein, if you happen to know the individual who is interested in touring or coming for a visit, we ask that you consider your message. Recently, we had 2 prospective residents who were given warning that maybe they should eat here first before they move in. Maybe there's something wrong with the apartment that that marketing isn't telling them. We chuckle, but I'm being dead serious here. Think about those words and think about the damage that causes. If you have a question about an apartment or a condition in an apartment or any reason that you might think that a friend of yours who's considering moving in here may not want to or might reconsider, please ask us. Please clarify your knowledge. Make sure you have the knowledge, the wherewithal to actually give that advice. And if your opinion is that you don't like the food, make sure it's a qualified one and make sure that it's delivered in a way that is constructive. You see, we rely on new residents to fill apartments, to continue to drive revenue so that the rates that we charge you don't have to go up to continue to absorb all the increase in costs that we have. You see, the more residents we have, the higher occupancy we have, the better off we all are. I can assure you, just based on my personality and knowing the credibility of the people who do this work, the integrity of our sales and marketing effort is very high. In fact, that's what drives us to do that well, is to maintain integrity in the process. We do not obscure or hold back information just to get a sale. So please, give your community the benefit of the doubt. If you have concerns, let's talk about those. And I'm not saying that to censor you in any way, but please let's clarify that before we affect someone's psychology in terms of making the decision to plunk down $500,000 for an entry fee and thousands and thousands of dollars a month as you all pay. Okay? Thank you. All right. I'm going to move on to Terry. Terry is our Director for Philanthropy, and she's got I think a couple of quick updates for us.
Also have trouble with earrings, too, with the mask, so. Good morning, one and all. I'm going to be quick. So we come to a close of 2021. We finished our 2021 year-end appeal, and I'm glad to report our goal was $50,000, and you all gave $62,382 for that annual appeal. Yeah, thank you. And the funds you contributed to, the Whitney Center Gift Fund, $43,000. Staff Development Fund, $11,389. Benevolence Fund, $4,000. And Cultural Arts Fund, $3,000. For the year, it was remarkable. So during the year, we received 3 major gifts launching our Positive Approach to Care Dementia Skills Training. That training, as planned, is going to continue over the next few years, so our focus will still stay on supporting that through philanthropy. This year, we received an estate gift, a bequest from Mrs. Alicia Krenta for $114,000. Yeah, Alicia lived here for 18 years. You'll remember her, petite little lady, always sunny, always smiling, big blue eyes, walked a lot. She worked with Janet for many years. She would put the new letters in your mailboxes, and she would always ask for more work, and Janet was the boss, right? She was great, so that was quite a surprise. Specifically, though, her bequest, the terms of the bequest are that the gift benefit employees at Whitney Center. It's to be used to augment existing programs or initiate new programs, but not replace funding of existing Whitney Center programs or other programs that Whitney Center would normally provide its employees. And it's to be expended over a finite number of years, 4 to 8 years. The Philanthropy Council met. And again, there are representatives from the resident council sitting on the Philanthropy Council, and a vote was made, and the following was voted as approved to expend that $114,000. So number one, a meditation room for team members. It's going to be a restorative meditation room where, our vision is to create a quiet space where team members can relax and find peace to replenish their spirit during taxing times. This is something that's been on the list for a number of years to do. Maria La Sala, Laura Sorensen, listening to employees, so we all agreed that that was going forward. So that's number one. Number two, we're creating a space for nursing mothers. We've done that to date, but this is going to be more of a comfortable, a nice space, and we're required to do that by law. Number three, after those two priorities, on-site classes, used for funding for instructors, materials, to cover the cost of substitute personnel if people want to take classes. Again, we did a survey years ago. We know kind of what training areas to go into, but this is similar to what we did for the certified nurse assistants. We did groups of 10. We had a college instructor on course on campus to deliver the course over 7 or 8 weeks. So that'll be something we'll be working on. And then finally, if there is a balance of funds, we'll look at other considerations that benefit employees. So thank you to Mrs. Alicia Krenta. Yeah. In addition, this year, our endowment at the Community Foundation for Greater New Haven has grown. That endowment was started a few years ago by one resident for staff development. Another resident joined in, continued for staff development. And again, this year, that's grown. $100,500 went to that endowment by 3 residents. So it keeps growing. And as you know, there's a principal, and we use what's the interest off of that. So years from now, people will be benefiting from that. So in total for 2021, you, along with our other donors, gave $340,878. That's amazing. And I just want to say the split on that is Whitney Center Gift Fund got $62,000, staff development $32,000, and benevolence and cultural outreach $4,000 each. As well as there are, the Corral, if you give to the Corral, that's part of our philanthropy. People have given to different committees. That's all considered part of that, but in addition to these numbers. So I see a question back there, Marilyn Fishbone.
Yeah, I just have a question. If you have a number of what amount of that money in the fund this year is from relatives and outside us people?
I don't have that figure, but I could break it down for you. I will do an appreciation book. That usually comes, I start putting that together now, and it comes out early spring. I'll address that, but at our next town hall, or I could get that numbers out. But we do have family members. Again, I think I mentioned earlier this year, we had a family that gave $10,000. Again, great appreciation for the staff. The comments are amazing. So that comes through.
Because that's a big area for philanthropy to grow, to reach out to our family members.
Absolutely, and they do. They do respond, whether it's family members of people who've passed on, or whether they're currently here as well. And we even saw that last year with people doing in-kind things related to COVID. So it's growing. This is our 3rd year, so we want to keep it going, and we have more work to do, definitely, but this is amazing. So thank you very, very much. Elda.
So what is the meditation room going to be? Since you promised us that one almost 3 years, right, Maria? Okay, so what is the room going to be?
Well, you're going to be getting reports. So my job is to work with the Philanthropy Council, but then now it moves on to execution. So you'll be getting reports. We'll get reports from the people that do know.
I do know, but I'm not going to tell you because we have to work out the logistics of it, okay? Because it may not work out. The space may not be sufficient. I can plan all sorts of things in my head, but if we can't construct it, I'm going to have to come back and say, whoops, sorry, okay? So I'm not holding anything back. Yeah, just to be a little patient. Thanks. You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. Thank you, Terry. That's fantastic. 300 and, how much? 340,000? That's great. We started this, Whitney Centers, we opened in 1979. We had not had any kind of formal philanthropic program. So at 3 years old, to have that kind of contribution, I think is fantastic. Nice job, Harry. And that's on top of the resident employee gift fund, which was, I believe, north of $180,000 this year. And so you were all very generous all the way around. So fantastic. And I believe Maria is sporting one of the, a gift that came through the philanthropy program. So every staff member for the holidays got a embroidered jacket. Yep. Oh, there you go. Yes. So we have an indoor version and an outdoor version. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. We got to hustle here. Okay. Jeff. Okay. Jeff is going to give a scintillating report on finances here at Whitney Center.
Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm Jeff Devaney, Vice President of Finance. I just want to give you an update on our 21 results. Overall, we had a pretty good year. When you look at our model, you have to look at our operating income statement and you have to look at our entry fees. On the operating side, we had some challenges last year, and we came in with about a $1.5 million loss, mostly due to headcount trying to bring new employees in, and we had to adjust our health center census down. That was a large impact on the operating side. On the other side, on the entry fees, we actually did very well. We brought in $8.3 million. So overall, at the end of the year, we added $3.9 million from the previous year. So we ended the year with $18 million in cash on our balance sheet, which is really good. So when you put it all together, it was a good year. And we also had our payroll protection plan forgiven, so we brought $2.2 million into our P&L last year. And we've also met all our bond covenants for the year, so it's good stuff. Any questions on last year? That's just a brief overview. For this current year, we're starting our audit in our department, so we're preparing for that. And now what everybody else is waiting for, the tax letter should be out at the end of the month. So I know everybody's been asking me about that. Anything? That's pretty much my report. Any other questions? Nope. Okay, back to Mike.
Thanks, Jeff. Okay. I believe that's all the reports. So in closing, I just have a couple of quick things. Herb, thank you very much for bringing the communication issue up. It's not lost on me that I'm a terrible communicator via email and messages, and I need to communicate. I need to get better at letting you know how best to get in touch with me. The amount of emails and voicemails I get is sometimes unmanageable for me. So I like Ken's idea of maybe establishing expectations and a protocol. I think that's fantastic. So thank you. I'm excited to work on that because this sheet here, okay, represents administration or management's goals and objectives for the year. There are 12 sections comprising 92 separate objectives. In addition to running the the business, in addition to responding to all of your needs, work orders and dining services and so on. And I bring that up for illustration because a lot of the things that we recognize need improvement are in here. So, for example, in under item 9, 9.1 actually is to develop and implement a comprehensive customer communication strategy and tactical plan. So see, so we hear these things, it's just we have to come at it from a broad organizational perspective. So while we experience frustrations on an individual level, it's sometimes counterproductive to solve that individual issue a certain way because we set a precedent or we thwart energy and resolution that might apply more broadly. So sometimes you have to pull back, and it's a tough line for our team members to walk, right? To figure out how do I solve this thing for you right now, because that's where everybody lives. They want to do that for you. While I'm telling them, hey, wait a minute, we may not be able to sustain that. We can't repeat that, and the number is closer to 600, Ken, staff and residents, right, on campus. We may not be able to repeat that for 300 plus people or 300 staff. So that's the dynamic that we contend with when we're trying to figure out solutions to what seem like that's a really easy issue. Why can't they just fix that, right? So for those of you who have been in business, who have run organizations, or even in academia, if you ran a large department, you understand that there are these dynamics that need to be negotiated as we address these things. And frankly, our partnership with the Residents' Council makes this a much easier process, but it's still difficult. Okay? So your forbearance, your cooperation is essential in getting our community moving forward. I do want to give a quick report on the workforce issues. You heard a couple of folks refer to that. Jeff alluded to it in terms of the operating loss that we had last year. We're still not out of the woods. In fact, workforce is the number one issue for not only our sector, but just about every sector of the economy here in the United States as well as globally. I was on another international call the other day discussing this very issue. We are currently recruiting for 48 open positions. 8 of those are full-time. That means they're scheduled 32 hours or more a week. And the remaining 40 are part-time, 24 hours or less. We have 16 job postings right now that we're recruiting under, and so this continues to be a big challenge for us. And we talked about pay scale and benefits and all of the things that make this a compelling workplace and community to come work. So we continue to be very active in that regard. In fact, on the sheet of goals and objectives, number 3, develop and initiate a strategic human capital plan. That is the overarching effort for workforce development, has the most objectives, has 17 separate initiatives under that we need to address this year. This is big stuff. This is very meaningful work that we're engaging in. And while I can't share every element of this, I'll publish a synopsis of our 2022 plan just to give you an idea of the kinds of things that we're working on. And if you'd like to discuss it further, please feel free to let me know. I'll figure out how to let me know. You can let me know. Ken's actually really good, so you can, maybe let Ken know. Okay. And I think let's see, I think that's it. Okay. That's it. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Well, I thank you very much. Are there any lingering questions, concerns that you'd like to voice before we adjourn? God bless Gretchen is what Mrs. Creep. Yes, I'm very grateful for Gretchen. Yes, we all are. She has to put up with me. Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much. Have a great day.